Hi, this is Ron Gannett from Community Church here in beautiful Saddlebrook, Arizona. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I think people have a problem. And the problem is they're never satisfied in relationships. They go to a marriage, or they step into a church family or a small group or a golfing group of friends. And somehow they feel like that they're not treated the way they feel like they should be treated. You know, I look at that and I realize that there's a deep satisfaction to have all of our needs met that often just goes by the wayside as far as we're concerned in the minds, the attitudes of other people. Well, you know, I've discovered that the more I seek to have my needs met, the less they are. And that I need to experience what I'd like to call today the big flip. I think we need to flip our attitude and think backwards from the normal routine. One of my favorite verses is tucked away back in Mark chapter 10 and verse 45, where Jesus said, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." You know, I think the example of Christ teaches us that we don't walk into a group setting to say, what can these people do for me? What can I do to structure things so that I always get my way? But rather, how can I walk into a relationship or into a group to say, what do you need? How can I help you? What would minister to you the best? And you know, if every member in a marriage relationship, if every member of a small group, if every member of a church were to come with the attitude that it's not what I want, it's what would best minister to you, we would not only be serving others, but we'd have all these people asking us what works for us. You know, my friends, this attitude of, I want it my way, doesn't work. But the attitude that says, in the Spirit of Christ, I want to meet your needs, I want to help you be facilitated, my goodness, that will rock and to change our world. You know, for that to work though, it takes every member of the group to participate. Because the person that sits on the sideline and pouts and says, it's all about me, it will just dampen the whole process. Well, you may be listening to what I'm saying and saying to yourself, you know, I'm not sure in my group that would work, because I'll tell you, everybody wants what they want. Well, I've got a suggestion for you. Sometimes change begins with just one person. Why don't you start imitating the methodology of Christ and start asking people, how can I help you? How can I serve you? What would be best for you in this situation? And see if that attitude doesn't become contagious in the lives of other people. I remember years ago, a woman came to me telling me how crazy and how bad her husband was. And after listening to her, I said, well, you know, you can't change him, but you can change yourself. Why don't you take the perspective that the Apostle Paul tells you in the New Testament to honor, to respect your husband, and start respecting him, and see how it affects the marriage relationship. A couple weeks later, we bumped into each other in the church foyer, and I said, how's it going? She said, you just won't believe the change in my husband. I thought the change was not in her husband, the change was in her. And the change that was taking place in her, by God's grace, will impact that dear man. My friends, our Lord gave us a wonderful, wonderful example. To walk into a world and relationships, not to be served, but to serve. And I ask you today, who needs you to humble yourself? Who needs you to reflect that picture of Jesus Christ? Who knows? God might use you to ransom the lives of special people in your world.